This morning we have a talk entitled Dana, or as we know it to be generosity. Now, the Buddha has always said that it is important for us to develop qualities. We must regard our existence in this world like something which is very useful to the world. May our deeds be like flowers, which gives the sweetest perfume to the world. And one of the perfume which we can introduce in our deeds is by practicing charity or dana. Now we know that whatever thing which is worthwhile having, it is not something which we should try to cling on to. People may cling to their property, they may cling to their money, they may cling to the position, but these are not the things we should cling on to. I think it is quite clear that when a person dies, that he cannot carry any of these things along with him. He will have to leave behind his house, his car, his property, his position. He leaves behind everything. So all these worldly things he cannot carry along with him. The only thing which can carry along with him are what? His good and bad karma. Our good and bad karma will follow us from life to life. Now if we perform good karma, they will be as our closest friend, following us, supporting us, protecting us, opening up doors of opportunity for us. But if we perform bad karma, we will find our way will be obstructed. There will be danger, there will be trouble all the way. So in fact, the best friend we will ever have is the performance of good karma. And the worst enemy that we can ever have is by doing evil karma. Now the Buddha said that when a house is burning, if a house is on fire, the things which you manage to bring out of the house, put it outside, those are the kind of things which you will really save, because the other things will get burned down with the house. In the same way, when we perform charity, when we give something to someone else, that is how we save, because then you perform good karma, and that good karma will follow you. But if you hold on to anything very selfishly, it gets burned down, like the house gets burned down. So it is very strange to say that the only things which we save are the things which we give away, not the things which we cling on to. When we perform good deeds like generosity, we perform morality, we perform mental culture. These are highly meritorious deeds, and these deeds cannot be lost. They'll follow us from life to life. And should the end of our life comes, we will live this world with no fear at all. We will live this world with peaceful mind, knowing fully well that as a human being, we have lived our fullest human potential. That we have done what we should do to ourselves, and we have done what we should to the world. There are some people, if they pass through the world and when they pass away, they leave nothing behind. But some people, when they pass through this world, the world becomes much better because they have lived in this world. And I think we should be like that. Now, when we say dana, D-A-N-A, sometimes people tend to use this word rather loosely. When we say dana, it means people say, oh, just try to be generous, just try to be liberal with our things. But we need to make a fine definition down here, because there is a difference between the word called dana and a word called chaga. Now I will write these words on the board. What is the difference between dana and chaga? Anybody can give the answer? What is chaga? Chaga means you are liberal with the things. You share. Alright? Now Now, dana means also being liberal and sharing. But there is a distinction down here. Dana is when you perform something with faith in the triple gem. So if you give something to someone else with the confidence of the triple gem, then you perform dana. But when people ask you for donation and you give donation like that, you say, okay, I'll give you something. And that's what we call chaga, which is also a good thing. But dana, it is this confidence in a triple gem that inspires you to want to do something. Alright, so that is the difference between dana and chaga. Now we know that we can perform dana in many ways, or we can perform chaga in many ways. When people are hungry, we give food. Food to the hungry. Medicine to the sick. Money to the needy. Kindness and compassion to all living beings. And above all, knowledge of the Dhamma to those seeking the truth. These are some ways we can perform dana. There are many people who are reluctant to give. One of the things which prevents people from giving, number one, is that I don't have enough for myself. How can I give? Now the thing is, we must not think that it is the quantity which counts. The most important thing is, what is the main idea? What is the main intention behind it? Huh? You don't have to give very much. Sometimes you give what you can. Don't give all you have. Huh? Because after that, then you start regretting. And regretting after we perform a good deed is not very good. Huh? For instance, if a person were to do good deeds and after that he regrets, he will be born in a very fortunate condition, but he will be born in a situation in which he cannot make use of that opportunity. Say for instance, you perform good deeds, charity. You get born in maybe a rich family. So that in a rich family you will have many benefits, many opportunities. But maybe that person will not be born intelligent. He might even be born deformed. So he cannot make use of that opportunity in which he is born in. He might be born very rich, but he will not be able to bear to spend his money. So in fact he lives like a beggar. So you see, this karma works in a way, in a very strange way. So when we give, we must give with full intention, wholeheartedly. And we must not have regret. After we give, say, actually shouldn't have given so much, too much, Do not know whether that person wants to use what I give or not, Maybe wasted, Shouldn't think like that. In fact, after giving, even if we see that person, sometimes we do not know if that person will use it well enough. Then you say, if I have someone, maybe I give someone. That should be our intention, that should be our idea. Sometimes a person is reluctant to give because of fear. This we know like blood. Sometimes, even when a loved one is suffering in the hospital, the relatives do not want to give blood, scared to give. So they go and buy blood from other people. And sometimes we know that in the hospital, some people sell their blood. But of course, they're not in perfect health, not in good health, and they sell the blood because they need the money. So that is the kind of blood which goes to their loved ones. Because people are afraid. They're afraid to do something else. Sometimes we don't practice compassion. We don't perform dana because of the lack of compassion. Now there is a case in America in which there was this woman who gets knocked down in a highway, and she was bleeding. And she was lying down there on the road, and her friend was trying to stop cars in order to bring her to the hospital. And it was raining. For 2 hours they stood at the highway. There must have been thousands of cars passing that way. But no car wanted to stop for them. In fact, one car did stop. But when they saw that this woman was bleeding, they said, oh no, I do not want to dirty my back seat. So he drove off. So it took 2 hours of trying to stop cars. Finally, there was one kind person who stopped the car to bring her to the hospital. Luckily, never died. Can you imagine? Here was a human being completely helpless, which depends on our help. But here we are driving the car saying, oh no, I do not want to dirty my back seat. What kind of a human being would we say that? Where we have completely lost any sense of humanity. That we don't have a compassion for our loved one. What happens if we drive along the highway and somebody is dying down there? Then we say, oh no, we do not want to dirty our back seat. Then we reach home. And then when we reach home, that is if you have a family, you find out that maybe your own daughter hasn't come back yet. Your own daughter who is supposed to be back from school is not back yet. Alright? So you wait for your daughter. And later on you get a call from the hospital saying, a friend ring up and says, excuse me, can I speak to Mr. So-and-so? Then you hold the telephone. And then he says, very, very bad news for you. Your daughter was knocked down in the highway at a particular time, but because nobody brought her to the hospital, she died along the way. I'm not saying that this kind of thing can happen, but can you imagine that person who is lying down there might be somebody else's sister, somebody else's daughter, somebody else's wife. Alright? So sometimes it's only when it happens to somebody very close to us, and then we feel, oh, how I wish I would have stopped the car to bring her. But oh, it's somebody else. No, I do not want to dirty my back seat. The lack of compassion. Now, the performance of dana, of charity, is very important. In fact, this is, if you want to cultivate the Buddhist way of life, this is the first thing we have to do. Very fundamental thing. It's not, we don't talk about doing meditation, we don't talk about learning Abhidhamma down here. No. Something simple which everybody can practice, which the Buddha recommends. Practice charity. Now, why is the practice of charity so important? We must remember that our existence in samsara, in this cycle of birth and death, in this wandering from life to life aimlessly, is because of our greed. There's a lot of greed within us. Now, each time when we perform a deed with compassion, when we perform a deed of dana, we help to reduce our greed. So, the performance of dana is a way in which we knock down this big rock of greed of ours. We reduce the quantity of our greed. So sometimes when we give something to someone else, we say, oh, we give something to someone else, that person will benefit from it. But don't forget, if the dana is well performed, it not only benefits the recipient, it also benefits the giver. And that is why, if you were to give something, and if somebody were to take advantage of you, don't fear. Because you don't lose anything by giving. And that person who takes advantage of you do not gain anything by taking advantage of you. Alright? Now when we perform dana, it is like this. One day you sit in a bus. Sit on a seat and you see you're traveling on this bus down there and there was a lady standing on the bus, maybe holding up the railings down there, holding a child in the arms. Then you say, this lady very hard, carrying a baby in one arm, holding the bus on the other, and the way our BMWs, what's BMWs? Bus Mini Wilayah, or the minibuses, the way they race through the traffic, this poor lady, she can hardly even stand up straight. Her head is touching the roof of the bus, and you say, oh, maybe I should offer my seat to her so that she can sit down and carry her child, because the child might fall, and she might fall with the child. So you stand up and you say, excuse me, do you like to sit down? And she sat down. She may say thank you to you, or sometimes she might not even say thank you to you. Sometimes the Orientals not very courteous. But don't worry. If she says thank you, they'll say, well, sometimes thank you, they say, it's alright, it's alright. Well, when somebody says thank you to you, you know that she appreciates. If she doesn't say thank you to you, she appreciates your deeds as well. But how do you feel? Oh, you feel happy, but that's not all. You should also say thank you to her. Of course, you might not want to say it out to her, but you must say thank you in your heart. Thank you for receiving my seat. Why do you say thank you for receiving my seat? Now, if you travel in an empty bus, then there is nobody to offer the seat to. Before you can offer a seat to someone, there must be somebody who is ready to take over your seat. And because that person is there, you must thank the person for giving you the opportunity to perform some form of giving. So you must thank in your heart, thank you for receiving my seat. And that's what we mean by true dana. A heart of compassion. Dana must be performed with a heart of compassion. It is not something which is patronage. I give you something because I want something back in return. That is not dana. That is calculated risk. That is business calculation. I give you so much. Maybe when I come back later, I may get much more. Don't think like that. That is a lot of selfishness. Okay, now I will go on to something more important. I'm sure many of us... wind is a bit strong today. I'm sure many of us have heard some of these things. Now I would like to go on to something else because it is significant. This morning, the youth section, and I think the participants of the Inkova is offering dana to the monks. Down here, dana is being used again in a loose sense. Dana means offering of meals to the monk. And when we offer a meal to the monk, it is offered with lots of confidence in the triple gem. So this is true dana. Now dana, there are 5 kinds of gifts that we should give to a monk according to the Buddha. Number 1, a gift which is given to a guest monk. If there are monks who travel from place to place and they come to our place, sometimes people like to give dana to a monk. So this is one kind of dana we can perform, giving a gift to a guest monk. Secondly, we give dana to a monk who is about to go on a journey. You know, monks do not really have much money. They are homeless. But sometimes when we live in this world today, they need to have some kind of things. I'm not saying just giving money. Maybe giving food. Maybe giving some kind of things which can help him along the journey. This is the second kind of dana we can perform. The third kind of dana we can perform is to a sick monk. If the monk is sick, we can give him medicine. Or even better still, if you have a car, you can bring him to the hospital. Or you can bring him to the doctor. Now just recently, our Chief Reverend has got a cut in his toe. Now we know that a person of his constitution, or a person who is suffering from diabetes, it's not very good to have a cut on a toe. I know if you're healthy, there's nothing, you get a cut in the toe, within 2-3 days it recovers. But if a person who is diabetic get a cut in the toe, if he doesn't take care of it, very soon he will have to chop off his toe. Maybe if he doesn't look after it, he has to chop off his foot. If he doesn't look after it, he might even have to chop off his leg. So very dangerous. But it was a good thing that people brought Chief Reverend to the doctor every day. Just using this as an example, in order to dress the wound, in order to give him antibiotics and all that, and then his toe recovered. Now the person who helped to transport Chief Reverend to the doctor is performing dana. That is the third kind of dana we perform to a monk who is not well. Okay? Fourth kind of dana is given to a monk at the time of scarcity or famine. Now sometimes during time of famine and scarcity, maybe in Malaysia we don't really experience that. Actually, believe me, in Malaysia we are living in paradise. If you want to go to heaven, believe me, in Malaysia, this is heaven. Especially because you haven't seen India, what India is like. When I was spending my time in India for 1 month, I was thinking, as I was traveling in this train, sleeping on that plank, which I call my bed, I was saying, I'd like to go back to Malaysia again. Going back to Malaysia like heaven. So this is heaven. So maybe we don't experience famine. But when food is scarce, and when you give something to a monk during a time of famine, that is the fourth kind of dana. This kind of dana is what we call kala dana, K-A-L-A, kala dana. And then the fifth kind is, this is mainly in agricultural times, in the rural areas where people grow their own crops. At the time of harvesting, the first crop in the season, that is in the harvesting when you cut the first crop, that you offer to the monastery. That is the fifth kind of kala dana we should perform. Alright, can you remember all the 5? First is what? To the guest monk, second. A monk going on a journey, third. Sick monk, fourth. Famine, fifth. First crop of the season. So you give. Like some of you, working for the first time. I do not know, maybe you change your job, then you get this thing, then you have your first salary. Then you say, this is my first crop of the season. So I would like to donate, I don't know, maybe $50 to buy fruits and food to offer to the monk. That's good. Must have this kind of idea. That is what we call performing kala dana. Huh? Now, dana, like chaga, dana is very important because it performs with loss of faith and confidence in the Buddha Dharma. This dana is very powerful because they bring us benefits both in this life and in another life. Now, in order to make this dana work, we should perform dana with a pure heart. And each time we have a dana, we perform dana, we should, if we have aditthana, if we have something in our heart which we want to be fulfilled, that desire of ours, that wish of ours can be fulfilled. I will write this word, this Pali word called aditthana. Aditthana. Now today we will be having dana given by the youth section. Now if any of us who is participating in the dana, if we have something which we want, maybe we might have a friend who is not well. We might have our mother may not be healthy, she may be sickly. Or we are facing certain kind of problems in our job. Or we are going to take an examination very soon. And we have not got through the first 2 times of taking that paper. And we wish that at least for the 3rd time we will get through this paper. Whatever desire you might have, you can plant an aditthana in your heart and you say, I perform this marriage, may my wish be fulfilled. And the power of the dana is that it will enable your wish to be fulfilled if you have an aditthana. Now if you have an aditthana of even proceeding further, of making spiritual progress, of even attaining nirvana one day, you can plant that aditthana in your heart. You can say, from life to life, no matter what life I wander in, no matter what life I'm born in, may I always have the opportunity to hear and practice the Dharma. May I always be able to meet with good friends. May I always avoid the company of people who are spiritually fools, who will mislead me. You can plant that intention in your heart to perform the dana, and that desire will come through. So dana is very important. In fact, if we look at the disciples of the Buddha, the great disciples of the Buddha, all of them had aditthana. They don't come by chance. You don't be a great disciple of the Buddha by chance. Nothing happens by chance. For instance, we take the example of Kondanya. Kondanya was one of the first 5 disciples of the Buddha. And when he heard the first sutra taught by the Buddha, the sutra got a long name, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Don't know whether you can remember that. The turning of the will of the law by the Buddha. When he heard that, he attained the first stage of sainthood. Kondanya made aditthana in the past when he got the first crop. When the first crop, he took his first crop like paddy, he cut that and offered that to a Buddha. And he says, by these deeds of mine, may I one day be able to be a great disciple of a Buddha. So he became the disciple of the Buddha. Sariputta and Moggallana also the same thing. They have aditthana. Mahamaya, Visakha, Yasodhara, all these people had adithanas. They just don't become great disciples or people close to the Buddha by chance. Now, it is conceivable that some of us might even be born during the time of the Buddha. We might have been an Indian. We might have lived there. But because we don't have aditthana, even when the Buddha was there, we don't know the Buddha was there. Or even if the Buddha is there, people say, come la. You say, cannot la. Busy at home, cannot leave my family. Or something will crop up. So no chance to listen to Dharma from the Buddha. Because no aditthana. So aditthana is important. Aditthana is like what, Now if you have a water tank or you have got a big water tank, aditthana is like putting a pipe so that the water will flow in a certain direction. Otherwise, it's like no pipe. We just open the door of the tank and the water just flow in all directions. So when you perform a good deed, if you don't have aditthana, it ripens in many ways. So you perform lots of dana, you have many benefits. Let me see if I can find a list of benefits. When you perform dana, you become wealthy, you become beautiful, you've got a long life. If that is not good enough, Your wife and children will love you and will be obedient to you. If that is not enough, your wealth will increase as you grow older. If that is not enough, you are in a position to make use of all the nice things which you have. And you can also make others happy by performing a lot of charity. If that is not enough, you become wealthy in time, and your wealth will not be destroyed by fire, flood, or be taken by robbers. So those are some of the benefits you get by performing dana. So you can ripen in so many ways. You can be beautiful, you can have long life, you can have lots of wealth, you can enjoy your wealth, you have life and children who will really love you, very dear to you. Beautiful things. So it ripens in all these ways. But if you go in an aditana, you say, may I perform this deed so that may I meet with a right teacher, with a good teacher who can teach me the Dhamma, who can open up my mind so that I can understand the wisdom. Then your deed will ripen in that way. Will ripen in that way. Doesn't mean that you will not be wealthy, you won't be good looking, also you will. But it will ripen in that way. You're providing a kind of a pipe, like a kind of a pipe for that deeds to ripen in that particular way. This is the value of aditana. So sometimes when we perform dana, we perform with aditana. You have intention. And this aditana can be about the troubles we face, as well as something which is selfless. You can even have an aditana, may I be able to serve for the welfare of all mankind. Also can. That is also aditana. It can be something which is what they call it, altruistic, we say, altruistic, thinking of other people. Now, when we perform dana, let us look at ourselves. What kind of giver are we? There are three kinds of givers in this world. One is called dana dasa. That means we are servants of charity. What is a servant of charity? He's the one who keeps the best and give the worst. So every New Year, clean up the house and say, ayo, this shoe, 10 years old, never used, cobwebs everywhere, all faded. Sayang, nobody wants to use the shoes. Okay, do you want the shoe? I give you the shoe. Cannot use. You cannot use, so you give. So you want to give a birthday present, you want to perform some kind, maybe not dana, maybe chaga, you want to give something to somebody else. So you go and shop around. Now you want to show that that you are liberal. So you go to the supermarket and look for cheap sale. Look for cheap sale. Then you find, this shirt so old already, where so many human hands have already touched it, become black already, brown and all that. But down there got sticker, sticker give the old price. Maybe the clothes is $70, but now the one is selling for $15. So you buy that, leaving the sticker, the price sticker on that present, wrap it up and give someone else. So not very. This is what you call dana dasa. You keep the best and you give the worst. So if we are like that, remember that we are servants of charity. It's important to know where we stand, because only when we realize where we stand can we make an effort to improve ourselves, isn't it? Otherwise we keep on doing the same thing again and again. Then, second kind of charity is called dana sahaya. This means friends of dana, friends of charity. Now, who are the friends of charity? Friends of charity will give to others what is good enough for them to use. Say for instance, if you eat your food, that food is good, right? And then you see a friend sitting beside you, he just come, you say, okay, take half my food. So if you get your chapan like that, one plate like that, so you cut into half, okay, you take this one and I keep this one. The servants of charity will take all the meat and vegetable and give the rice. Alright? That's servants. But friends, you divide halfway, you say, okay, this is good enough for me to eat, I will also give this to you. Because this is something I can use, but never mind, I wanted to give to others. So this is a friends of charity. That is, if you go to the shop, you buy oranges and all that, you divide the orange and you say, okay, these oranges I will give, say now they have a camp, I will give this to the camp, so that the participants can eat. If you are a servant of charity, you can take those fruits which are
which have got holes inside them, which are rotten, which people press and all that, or maybe the bundle of fruits which are very cheap, the cheap sale one. Whereas those you keep at home are good ones. Then you are servants of charity. Not very good, still some way to develop. Still, So if you are friends of charity, you give to others what you yourself would use. What is good enough for you to use. Then you are friends of charity. Finally, we have what we call Dhanapati. Dhanapati, P-A-T-I, Dhanapati. This is what we call a master giver. Now, who is a master giver? The master giver is the one who will give the best to others. Like the Buddha, he gives the best to others. If you're a master giver, you give the best. You say, never mind, I can keep this to myself, but I want you to have this. It really makes me happy if you can have this. We can observe this at home. Look at our parents, look at our mothers, look at our father. How they work so hard. Why do they want to work so hard for? Actually for the children. If you see a mother, especially if family is not well off, she will keep the food, the good food, the eggs, whatever, for the children. And she said, never mind, she just eats the rice and maybe kiam chai. Just eat kiam chai for herself. But keep the best meat for the children. Keep the best. So you can see, in this case, practice, good qualities practice by our parents. Giving the best to our loved ones. Giving the best to others and keeping the rest for ourselves. If you are like that, then we say you are a master giver. So what kind of giver are you? You don't have to answer me. We look in our minds and examine ourselves. And if you are a servant of giver, try to move forward to become a friend of a giver. If you are a friend of a giver, try to move forward to become a master giver. Okay? Because remember that when we have accepted to become a Buddhist, we have promised to ourselves and to the Buddha that we want to cultivate ourselves. Otherwise, we shouldn't call ourselves Buddhists. Malu only. Call ourselves Buddhists. Become a Buddhist or not Buddhist, no difference. If we become a Buddhist, we have made that promise to ourselves and to the Buddha that we want to develop our qualities. And one of the basic qualities we should develop is to practice charity. And one of the basic qualities we should develop is to practice charity. Okay? Charity means to let go of our greed. Now, I mentioned about dana. Now, not many people know about dana very well. Dana, something which you perform out of faith in the Triple Gem. Now, let us talk about the dana given to monks. There are two kinds of dana which is given to monks. I will write this on the board. Then I'll explain to you, alright? Can you see what is written on the board? One is called Pugalika Dana. Second is called Sangika Dana. Now what is the difference? They are both danas done for monks. Now it is different. I will explain. Pugalika Dana means gifts which are given to individuals. Now for instance, if we are fortunate enough to meet the Buddha and we perform some dana to the Buddha, we are performing what we call Pugalika Dana. Or if we offer it maybe even to saints, to people who have become an Arya, to that monk you respect very much. You perform what we call Pugalika Dana. You can even perform this to worldlings, people who are not even saints but who are virtuous. You also perform Pugalika Dana. You can even perform it to non-virtuous worldlings, also sama juga. Even if you give food to animals and to birds, also can fall under Pugalika Dana. If you perform it with faith in your heart. Food, you give food, I say, this bird's pity, give some food. And you want to give because of your faith of the Triple Gem. You are performing Pugalika Dana. So this one is gifts given to that individual. Now, in Dana, we have what we call fields of merit. I will write it on the board. You have what you call fields of merit. Fields of merit is like your field. Some fields are more fertile than other fields. Now, when you perform Pugalika Dana, the benefits
the good merits which arises from that deed depends on the purity of that individual. So if you perform Pugalika Dana to the Buddha, the rewards will be tremendous, beyond our imagination. If you perform Pugalika Dana to a saint, the benefits will be enormous also, but not to the extent of giving it to a Buddha. If you perform it even to worldlings but who are virtuous, it is also a lot. But as it goes down in terms of virtue, the rewards become less and less. That is what we call Pugalika Dana. But there is another kind of dana which we perform as Buddhists. This is what we call Sangika Dana. Sangika Dana is not giving to any individuals, but we perform it to the whole Sangha, to the whole community of monks or maybe nuns. And maybe one monk might represent to a separate. Say for instance, you want to have a house warming. You have a new house, you want to invite the monks over. You come to Chief Reverend, you say, excuse me Reverend, I'd like to offer a Sangika Dana. Now, maybe all the monks in the temple can go to your house, then you perform Sangika Dana. But maybe even if not all the monks can go, if Chief Reverend says, okay, I appoint this Reverend Vijita to go and Dana. So Reverend Vijita represents the Sangha. So in that case, you are still performing Sangika Dana. Alright? When you offer it to the monks. Just, isn't 2 weeks ago, isn't it? I can't remember. We had this Katina, offering of robes to the monks. This is what we call Sangika Dana, offering that robes to a monk. You don't give it to your individual monk. You don't say, there's a row of monks out here. I like this monk very much, so I will only want to give this monk. Other monks, don't touch my things. That is not Sangika Dana. Sangika Dana is, I give this to the community of monks. Now, there is a special significance to this, because we were talking about fields of merits. Now, even if the monks who are sitting in front of you are not members of the Arya, they have not attained sainthood, but because you make the offering to the Sangika Dana, they represent the whole community of Sangha, including those holy saints which preceded it. You know, all the monks of 2,500 years ago, including the great disciples of the Buddha, is represented by the monks seated in front of you. So even if the monk, you on privately, sometimes you say, oh yeah, this monk is like that. Nah? So you have some hang-ups about the monks. But because they represent the Sangha, the merits will be like as if you're giving to the whole community of the monks. And it is tremendous. It is a rich field of merit when we perform Sangika Dana. In this case today, when we perform food to the monks, we are performing Sangika Dana. Remember that the monks represent nimittas, symbols. They symbolize the holy Sangha, the Arya Sangha. So when you offer that food to the monk, have in your mind that you're performing Sangika Dana. It's a very rich field of merit. Even if Sangika Dana is performed to a monk with little virtue, because it represents a Sangha, the merits that you get will be the same, will be very rich as well. When we perform dana, there must, for the rewards to be very good, there must be a couple of things for these good merits to follow us. Number one, we must perform with faith. Very important. Saddha dana. Perform it with faith. Number two, the gift is prepared with care and reverence. Now, I know for the youth section, we are having this dana. Some people give with money. Some of our sisters are in the kitchen, washing, cutting, chopping, splicing, whatever. And they prepare the food out of reverence. That is also very good. That is called Sakkacha Dana. So when we perform dana, we must have that kind of faith, and we must take care to perform it out of reverence. All these are productive, remember. Even dana, don't think that, I give the food, the monks eat, that's where I get my dana, I get good merit. Not like that. Even in the process of preparing towards that dana itself is productive of merits. If you perform it with care and with reverence. Then giving gifts at the right time, that is also productive. That is one kind of gifts also. Okay, and also the fifth thing to remember is when we give,
we must not belittle another person. If somebody gives like that, don't say, wow, he gives like that, I must bring one big one and go, pow, like that. So that everybody can see, wow, what a generous person I am. But actually you give it not because you really want to give, but because that person gives so much, you want to give much more, in order to show off. Don't do that, because then the good karma come back in a different form, the repercussion, vipaka come back in a different form. Okay? Now, I think I should also like to cover, once we're talking about food, there's dana and all that, I like also to cover one more thing, that we can also perform dana with our blood as well. Like blood donation. I think last week, there was an announcement for blood donation. Now, we must remember that each time when we perform a good deed, don't say, oh, this good deed which I perform is very small. Don't belittle your good deeds. Even the Dhammapada says, don't belittle your good deeds. Because your good deeds, no matter how small, will accumulate. It's like a snowflake. If you have ever seen snow, a snowflake is a very small thing. It melts in your tongue, it melts in your finger. But when snowflakes get together, they will stop trains, they will bring down roofs of houses, they can sweep entire villages. Very powerful. So our good deeds are like that. They might be small, but they gather force, and this is what we call parami. Now, blood is very precious to many people. Earlier I talked about blood, but some people are afraid to give blood. Remember, of course, blood, people feel precious because we need to have blood in order to have good health, and our life also depends on it. No blood means cannot live. So because of that, people cling on to that blood. They think blood is very precious. But remember that if you are healthy, you have enough blood for your own use and a bit more to share with someone else. If you're healthy, you can create that blood. But if somebody is not healthy, somebody goes through an operation, he will require some help from you. And when you give blood donation, you are performing something very good. Because you are parting with something which is very precious to you. Your blood is precious to you. You're parting something precious to you, but you're giving somebody else a new lease of life. Now when we perform blood donation, I know sometimes we organize blood donation in this temple also. Sometimes blood donation, or sometimes they go to hospital. Sometimes blood donation, you get your friends and then they chit-chat and talk and joke and tickle each other. And then when they sit down on the bed and when the blood is taken, they joke and giggle and laugh and all that. Well, of course they're performing something good by giving blood, but unfortunately they do not know how to focus their mind. So the vipaka which they get might not be really that strong. Now, how to make the vipaka strong? Now, when we say we want to give the blood, something which is precious to us, we must say it with honest intention, with very clear intention. You must have that kind of confidence. You see, I would really like to donate my blood. And have that intention in your mind and make the effort to do that. Now, let us say now you are down there. Somebody tests your blood and you say, okay, you can give blood. So you lie down there on the bed and they puncture a little hole in your vein and they put a needle down there and the blood starts dripping off. As the blood flows from your body, contemplate that this blood which now runs in our body will very soon be running in somebody else's body too. May this blood which has kept me healthy and strong, may this blood help to keep the other person to recover, make him recover and make him strong. So we contemplate, like metta, sharing metta, so that the other person who received your blood is almost now going to be like you, because the blood which runs in your body will now run into his body. May you wish him good health. And also think that sometimes you do not know who's the person who will receive your blood. Sometimes you know. Sometimes it's like something like Pugalika Dana and Sangika Dana. Sometimes you give the blood and you say, whoever there may be who wants to use my blood, okay, they can use. But sometimes one person might want an operation and they want like blood group B. Then if you have blood group B, then you donate specially for that person. And that's like Pugalika Dana, something like that. Say it's the first thing, you do not know who this person is. See, this person might be a young child who needs the blood. So you think of this little child with love. Maybe this little child may be like your little sister. Like your little sister who is sick. Or maybe this little young child might be your own brother. Or this young child may be your own son or your own daughter. How would you wish how do you feel if that young child is your own daughter or your own brother and sister? Wouldn't you say, may this child recover very quickly? That this blood which I'm giving to this child, may he receive it and may he recover quickly. That is the kind of wish we want. To think that this little child who is receiving your blood is no different from your own daughter or your own son. Maybe this person who received your blood may be a young man or a young woman. And this person still have a long life to live for the sake of our family, for the husband. To live the life so that the children may enjoy mother's love or may enjoy father's love. So you think of this woman or man, young man, as your husband, your wife, if you're married, your sister or your brother. Like giving something to someone whom you love. Or it may even be an elderly person, body not healthy, cannot create the kind of blood which your body can create. Then you share. Then think of this elderly person as your own parents. Giving this blood to my own parents. So as you lie down there on the bed, and as the blood flows from your veins, you contemplate that may I give this blood to my brother, to my sister, to my own wife and husband, and to my own parents, father and mother. So it is with this kind of clear intention that we give blood donation. And at the end of it, you come and tell me how you feel after that. If you try it and tell me how you feel. And I'm sure you will feel very happy. You will feel very radiant. Now the quality of performing dana is when dana is well performed, it will make you very radiant. You feel happy. Good merits is you feel happy before you perform it, you feel happy while you perform it, and you feel happy well after the deed is performed. Okay? Now, finally, I think there will be something else after this, so I do not want to go on for very long more. I mentioned to you about some benefits you got by performing dana. There are a few more benefits. So if you're not still satisfied with all the benefits that I mentioned just now, which I'm sure you all are, healthy, long life, good looking, loving wife and children, what more do you want? But wait, that's not all when you perform dana. Benefits are so rich. When you perform dana, according to the Anguttara Nikaya, Sutra 34, it says that when a person gives alms to monks or to virtuous people, he gets 5 blessings. He will be loved by many people. You will be a person whom many people will love. Being loved means people will support you. Whenever you want to do things, many people, more than one people will come to your support. When you're in trouble, they'll be there to support you, to help you out. When you're in danger, they'll be there to protect you. So, the first benefit is that you will be well loved by people. Number 2, you will have noble associations. All your friends are the people who are trustworthy, people who are honest, people who have good qualities. Now when you mix with people who have good qualities, they inspire you to be good as well. If your friends have very good qualities, you also want to develop their good qualities. So you will have noble associations. Maybe you might even be born as one of the tunkus, or I don't know, maybe a prince and all that. Noble associations. Number 3, you will have good reputation. Good reputation. Everybody will say, wow, this person very good, very nice lady, very helpful. So very good reputation. When people talk about you, they only have nice things to talk about you. And of course, it's nice to hear also once in a while. Nice things. Good reputation. Number 4, you will have self-confidence. Whatever you do, you have that confidence. What gives you that self-confidence? It is the power of truth, the power of doing something good, which gives you that confidence. So no matter what you do, you'll be confident. And even if you want to say bye-bye to this life, you can say bye-bye with that kind of confidence. Not that kind of fear. Whatever you do, you'll be confident. This is the 4th benefit of doing dana. And the 5th benefit of doing dana is that you will be born in the heavens. You will get heavenly birth. Reborn in the heavens. So you see, it's not so hard to be born in heaven. And I believe that I am already seeing many people from heaven, heaven to be, maybe meet in heaven. So, after this life is over, you will either be born in human planes, or maybe if you perform charity, you will be reborn in the heavens. So these are the 5 benefits from the Anguttara Nikaya, when you perform dana, when you perform charity, you get these 5 blessings. You will be loved by many. You will have noble associations. You will have good reputation. You will have self-confidence, and you will be reborn in the heavens. Okay? So, with that, I think I will, let me just end this talk just with a little story. Maybe something just to remember. It's nice to have stories. It seems that there is this man who went to heaven and hell. And to his surprise, he discovered that actually heaven and hell is not very different. In fact, it's the same. I'm not saying it's true, it's just a story, but there's an important lesson behind it. So he went to heaven and hell. He saw that there is this huge table with beings, heavenly beings and hell beings sitting around the table. On this table are delicious food, exactly the same, cooked by the same cook maybe. Same food, very delicious. So no different. In heaven and hell, the beings down there have chopsticks. They eat you with chopsticks down there. Must be a Chinese story lah. Their chopstick is 1 meter long, like that. And this chopsticks tied to their fingers. Okay? So the same in heaven and hell. But there is a difference. He noticed that in hell, the beings will try to grab the best food with their chopstick and feed themselves. And they try and they couldn't feed themselves. So the food is thrown all over the table, and none of them could eat anything. And they get so frustrated because everybody rushing, wow, I like this mee, I like this, not low shifan. Everybody, boring I say, you don't want low shifan. So they're trying to grab all the best for themselves. So finally they get frustrated, they couldn't eat anything, and all the food is thrown all over the table. That is hell. In heaven, the people say, oh, you like this food. He takes this food and gives the best to that person. And that person says, oh, you like this. So he takes the chopstick and feeds to the other person across the table. And because they feed each other across the table, finally the food is eaten and the table is very clean and everybody is satisfied. So you could see the difference between heaven and hell is that in hell they try to grab the best for themselves. In heaven they give the best to someone else. This, I think, can very clearly reinforce the idea about dana. Now, with this, I would like to wish all of you peace, good health, and joy in the practice of Dharma.
Nita Sayudam
That song was entitled Jaya Mangalagata. How do you like it? Yes. Can I just look at the verses again?